If you enjoy using English to think more deeply about your life, your choices, and your growth, stay close and subscribe. It is a small gesture, but it helps these reflections keep finding you. Let us begin. What does it mean to be successful in life? This question sounds simple, but it is quietly dangerous. Because if you never stop to define success for yourself, you will spend your life chasing someone else's version. Maybe your parents' version. Maybe social media's version. Maybe the version of the most anxious part of your mind. When most people hear the word success, certain images appear automatically. Money, status, a big house, a perfect body, travel photos, recognition, productivity. These things are not bad by themselves. The problem is when they become the only measure of a good life. Today, I want to explore success in a different way with you. We will talk about why external success alone often feels empty, how society programs you to chase goals that are not really yours, what real success can mean when you include relationships, health, inner peace, and integrity, how to design your own definition of success, and how to move toward it in a way that is sustainable and human, not exhausting and self-destructive. Let us start with something uncomfortable. You can be successful on paper and miserable inside. You can have money, followers, a car, a title, and still feel lonely, anxious, insecure, disconnected, exhausted, guilty, fake. You might know people like this. Or maybe you have been this person at some point. The world looks at you and says, "Wow, you are doing amazing." But when you are alone at night, the feeling is different. This happens because there are two kinds of success: outer success, inner success. Outer success is what people can see and measure: salary, achievements, appearance, numbers, objects, public recognition. Inner success is mostly invisible. The quality of your relationships, your level of self-respect, your mental and emotional health, your sense of meaning, your ability to be present, your peace when nobody is watching. Outer success without inner success is like a beautiful house built on unstable ground. It looks impressive, but any serious storm can shake everything. Inner success without any outer structure can also be a problem. If you completely ignore money, health, work, responsibilities, you may end up dependent on others or in constant crisis. So real success is not extreme. It is integration. It is the art of building a life where you can function in the world while also honoring your soul. Now, how do we move in that direction? First, we need to talk about success scripts. When you were growing up, you received many messages about what a successful life looks like. Some were explicit. You need a stable job. You must get married and have children. You have to study this. You must not disappoint the family. Others were implicit. Which people were admired? Which careers were respected? Which choices were criticized? Which emotions were allowed? All of this created a kind of internal script, a template. Success means X. Failure means Y. Maybe in your script, success means having a high-status profession, even if you hate the daily routine. Maybe success means never resting, always working, always producing. Maybe success means always being available for others, even if it destroys your health. A lot of people are living inside a script they never consciously chose. The first step toward real success is to question this script, to ask, Where did my ideas about success come from? Do they truly fit who I am? Or am I just obeying an old story? This questioning can be scary, because if you change your definition of success, some people may not understand. They may even feel threatened. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is to arrive at the end of your life and realize you climbed a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. Let us bring this to something more concrete. If we ignore society for a moment and we look at your life as a full picture, what areas really matter for a successful life? We could include many, but let us focus on a few essential ones. Health, relationships, meaningful work or contribution, inner life, growth. First, health. It is hard to enjoy any success if your body is collapsing. Health does not mean a perfect body. It means a body you care about, a body you listen to, a body you do not constantly sacrifice in the name of status, work, or appearance. Sleep, movement, food, rest, medical care when needed. These are not luxuries. They are the foundation that makes everything else possible. Second, relationships. If you achieve everything externally, but you cannot maintain healthy relationships, something is broken. Success in relationships does not mean having a huge number of friends. It means having people you can be honest with, being able to love and be loved without constant manipulation or fear, being able to communicate, being able to repair after conflict, being able to set boundaries. A successful life includes learning how to be with others in a way that is respectful, kind, and real. Third, meaningful work or contribution. This does not mean you must love every minute of your job. Every kind of work has boring parts. But success includes feeling that your work or your daily activities connect, at least in some way, with your values. Maybe your work helps people. Maybe it creates beauty. Maybe it solves problems. Maybe it allows you to support your family. Meaning does not always come from the job itself. Sometimes it comes from what the job allows you to do. But if you spend most of your life doing something that feels completely disconnected from your values, the cost is high. Fourth, inner life. This is often ignored in success conversations. Inner life is how you talk to yourself, how you deal with emotions, whether you can enjoy simple moments, whether you can be alone without panicking, whether you have some sense of connection with something bigger than your own ego. Without an inner life, you live in constant reaction. You are controlled by external events, by notifications, by other people's moods. Inner success means having some space between what happens and how you respond. Fifth, growth. Success is not a static picture. It is a process. A successful life includes movement, learning, evolving, testing, adjusting. You do not need to be constantly achieving big things, but you also do not want to stay completely frozen. Growth can be subtle. Learning a new skill, becoming more patient, understanding yourself better, apologizing faster when you are wrong. These quiet forms of growth are part of success. Now notice something. None of these areas by themselves define success. They interact. You can have good health and great work, but miserable relationships. You can have deep inner life, but ignore your responsibilities. Real success is about balance, not a perfect balance every day, but a general direction where no important part of you is completely abandoned. You might ask, okay, this sounds nice, but how do I create my own definition in practice? Let us do a small internal exercise. Imagine that you are 10 years older than you are now. You look back at this decade. What would need to be true in your life for you to say, I used these 10 years well. I am not perfect. I made mistakes. But overall, I am proud. Think about different aspects. Maybe you imagine, I took better care of my body. I stopped living only to please others. I built or maintained one or two relationships where I can be myself. I did work that mattered to me at least part of the time. I treated myself with more respect. I managed my money in a more conscious way. I learned to say no when necessary. Try to feel what matters to you, not what you think should matter. From this reflection, you can extract your own pillars of success. For example, you might arrive at something like, for me, a successful life means 1. Living in a way that respects my health and energy. 2. Being close to a few people I truly care about and who care about me. 3. Doing work or projects that are connected to my values. 4. Continuing to grow and learn. 5. Being able to look at myself without shame all the time. Your version might be different. The important thing is that it is yours. Now we come to a difficult part. There is a gap between the life you consider successful and the life you are living today. This gap can produce anxiety. You might think, I am so far from this. Maybe it is impossible. Here, we need to remember something. Success is not created in huge jumps. It is created in small alignments repeated over time. For example, if one element of success for you is health, you do not need to suddenly become an athlete. You can start with going to bed 30 minutes earlier, or reducing one habit that is obviously hurting you, or walking a short distance regularly. If one element of success is relationships, you do not need to become the most social person. You can start by sending a message to someone you care about, or listening more carefully in one conversation, or saying one honest sentence where you would normally hide. If one element is meaningful work, you do not need to quit your job tomorrow. You can start by asking, what part of my current work already aligns with my values? And what small project could I begin, even on the side, that feels more meaningful? Success is not a destination you suddenly arrive at. It is a direction. Every day you can ask yourself, are my actions today moving me closer to my definition of success or further away? Not in every detail, not in perfection, but in general. Some days will be messy. You will make choices that you regret. You will fail your own standards. A successful life does not mean you never fall. It means you have the ability to notice, to adjust, and to return to your path. Another important point: comparison. In the age of social media, you are constantly exposed to other people's highlight reels. If you measure your success by comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's edited moments, you will always lose. There will always be someone with more money, with more beauty, with more followers, with more apparent freedom. Success, in the deepest sense, is not a competition. You do not win your life by beating others. You win your life by inhabiting it fully, by being present for your own path, by honoring your values even when nobody is clapping. This does not mean you ignore reality. Maybe you admire someone's discipline, or creativity, or intelligence. You can use that as inspiration, not as a weapon against yourself. Ask, what can I learn from this person? Instead of, why am I not like them, so I am worthless? Now let us talk about money. Money is often treated as the main measure of success. Money is important. It gives you options. It reduces certain kinds of stress. It allows you to support yourself and others. But money is a tool, not a god. You can be poor and miserable. You can be rich and miserable. You can also be poor and peaceful, or rich and peaceful. It depends on many things: how you earn your money, how you use it, what you sacrifice for it, what you expect from it. If your definition of success is only financial, you may sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your integrity. If your definition excludes money completely, you may create unnecessary suffering and dependence. A balanced view is to see money as part of success, but not the center, not the master, just one dimension. Now, I want to mention something that might be uncomfortable but necessary. To be successful in life according to your own definition, you will need to disappoint some people. If your current life is organized around other people's expectations, changing it will create tension. You might stop being the person who always says yes. You might choose a different path than the one your family imagined. You might set boundaries at work or in relationships. Some people will not like this. They might call you selfish. They might try to guilt you. They might say you changed. And in some ways, they will be right. You are changing. You are moving from a life defined only by external pressure to a life where your inner voice has a vote. This does not mean you become irresponsible or cruel. Real success includes honoring others while also honoring yourself. But you cannot be truly successful if your entire existence is a performance for other people's approval. Eventually, the cost is too high. Finally, let us bring all of this to a simple daily level. If you want your life to feel successful from the inside, 3 practices can support you: clarity, consistency, compassion. Clarity is knowing what matters to you, your values, your priorities, your non-negotiables. Without clarity, you live by accident. Consistency is acting again and again in ways that reflect that clarity, not perfectly, but regularly. Small actions, small habits, small choices. Compassion is how you treat yourself when you fail your own clarity and consistency. Because you will fail. Compassion does not mean excuses. It means you recognize your humanity, you take responsibility, and you continue. You do not use your failures as evidence that you are hopeless. You use them as information for adjustment. To close, let us simplify. A successful life is not just a life that looks good from outside. It is a life where, more and more, your outer world and your inner world are aligned. Where what you chase outside does not completely betray what you need inside. Where you can say, with honesty, I am not perfect. I have problems. I have fears. But overall, I am living in a direction that feels true to me. Ask yourself, gently, what would a successful life mean for me, not for others? Then ask, what is one small change I can make this week that moves me closer to that life? Just one. A conversation, a decision, a boundary, a habit, a moment of rest, a moment of courage. Success in life is not something you get at the end. It is something you practice quietly in what you choose today. Thank you for watching.